Hello and welcome to another KCA Wellness Chat. I am John O'Brien from the Keystone Contractors Association, and today I am sitting down with Josh Vitale, a person I met probably 3 years ago, 3 years ago, mutual friends through, I don't even know. I'm trying to think how we met, but I'm so glad we got connected here. Josh, how we doing, bud?
Oh, fantastic, man. It's good to see you. It's been too long.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into this year, we had this, we being the KCA Mental Health and Wellness Awareness Task Force, had this idea to create these wellness chats, just kind of just talks, either, experts or presentations or interviews, whatever, just kind of topics that people are wondering about or organizations people are wondering about, just to get the industry thinking and ways to help the industry, help our workforce. And your name surfaced as soon as we had this idea. I'm like, I'm gonna reach out to my bud Josh here. I bet you he'd be awesome here. And
Thank you.
yeah, you bet. Yeah, you have a lot going on here. But before we jump into your organization, just kind of maybe a couple minutes to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I try to always lead with the chin, as they say. So, um, I'm a construction guy. Grew up. My stepdad was a drywall contractor. So my mornings and evenings, instead of playing video games, I was loading mud into the garage and cleaning out the bazooka in the yard. And I got to grow up with a guy that was never home, and always wanting that. And so. Um, Going into construction. I dropped out of college after being a sophomore at Northern Arizona University, joined the IBEW and became a lineman. By the time I was 22, I think, at that point in local 769's history, if you showed up on time every day, they made you a foreman. So uh, they made me a foreman before I topped out, and I had no idea what I was doing, no idea about how to lead people. So I became a student of leadership, and that's one of the pieces that's led me to where I'm at today. I'm also a CPTSD survivor and lived with suicidal ideation for 20 years until I was able to get help. The things that really helped me transform my personal journey was EMDR therapy. So about 10 years ago, I started that journey. And I've also, I'm in long-term recovery from addiction, and about 3 or 4 years ago, right around the time that we met,
Hmm.
uh, my focus had really shifted into starting to give back and give away what was freely given to me. And so I started to focus on suicide prevention and harm reduction, and really looking at the deaths of despair. And I was on a massive project at that time, probably about 7,000, 7,500 workers. We had about 40 million man hours in. And so a lot of folks in crisis, and I participated in about 2 dozen suicide interventions on that project.
Wow.
Um, and it was sort of trial by fire, right? I took all of the trainings like QPR and Vital
Hmm.
Cog and
Yep.
mental health first aid and 4x4 because I was, in the thick of it. And I realized that there wasn't a ton of people that were out there doing the work that really understood what construction folks are going through. And so my wife Amy and I started Project Built
Hmm.
as a way to, take what I had learned on the job site and apply it on a bigger scale. And
Okay.
it's really blossomed from there into what it is today, which is a national nonprofit where we're really trying to find ways to help families and to help companies figure out, and demystify how they can do something about this and actually make their company more profitable at the same time.
Nice. Well, to start off, I'm glad you're a survivor. I'm glad we met. I'm glad we're talking today. You're an awesome person and one of a kind. So glad to be talking with you today. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Make sure you knew that. So
Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate you.
yeah, you bet, you bet. So why should Pennsylvania construction companies and Pennsylvania construction workers care about Project Bill? What is Project Bill and why is it important?
That's a great question. There's a few things I think. One is, we're all humans having this human experience together, and I think it's an opportunity for us to really connect with each other, and to understand that the people that are struggling the most are typically the ones that, if given the right attention, will become some of the greatest people out there. I think the more that we experience suffering in our lives, the better we're able to help others, and so. So digging into this work, as you are acutely aware, really opens us up to kind of a new understanding of humanity and connecting with people in a deeper way. So on a personal level, it's an opportunity to do the work that you know you've always needed to do, whether that's journaling or meditation or just connecting with your family or leveling up your self-care, whatever that is that's going to create a better life for yourself and for your family. But
Mhm.
then also taking that, that bubble, right? Once you start to positively impact the 3 feet around you, that bubble starts to grow. And so you can bring that to your team at work, or if you're a leader in a company, you can roll that out to however many people you have influence over by leading with vulnerability, by talking about the human side of this experience that we're all having together. And you can create a culture and an environment where people are thriving and your business is doing better, and you're experiencing the type of life that we all hope for, which is not one that is free from suffering, but it's one that we can share with others and co-regulate and really have deep, meaningful connections and be successful.
Awesome. Awesome. So you got a council, right? You got some great strategic minds and some great people that know what's going on, know how to help, So that's
Yeah, yeah, and I'm lobbying to get you involved in that group.
okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm
um,
helping you. Anything you need, brother.
awesome, dude. So yeah, we put together this group of about 30 people from across the country to come together to sort of demystify what it is that the construction industry is facing and how we can, attack that problem. And we look at it like talk to the safety guys, right? It's lagging indicators and suicide and opioid overdose. I think those are canaries in the coal mine. You know what I mean? That's like the lagging indicator of a toxic system that we all grew up in, right? We're all victims of the way that construction was created, and the long hours and the separation from family and the factors that go into why we're seeing these incidents of deaths of despair within the construction industry. So that council has come together to try to figure that out, to figure out how things are all interconnected and what can be done. Because right now, what I've seen in trying to work at the problem was that we have a lot of people that are working on awareness, but not a lot of demystification of what to do about it, right?
Yep,
Like
exactly. Yep.
there's some people that have some answers, but it's not the answer, and I think we all feel that. Most contractors that I talk to on a daily basis have said, we've tried one, two, or three things, and they just don't seem to be doing what we thought they were going to do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take that on, and it is a monumental task, and I knew I couldn't do it alone, and so that's why we've created the council to get a bunch of people that are smarter than me, PhDs and
Awesome.
CEOs, and then also frontline workers together at the table to really try to work on figuring that out.
Yeah. That's one thing I learned early on at KCA is surround yourself with some really smart people. And then you look good,
Exactly. Yeah, they say
No, but more importantly, it's not about looking good. It's more importantly, it's having success and helping people and moving the ball forward. Moving. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a firm
So
believer that if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
absolutely, yes. Yeah. So I know it's in the early stages. You're going to grow. You're going to be massive. You're going to be huge. But in the early stages, do you have any sort of extreme feedback? And by extreme, I mean anything from like construction employers or even workers that's really supportive or that we can promote and get behind, or anything that's on the negative side that perhaps we need to educate and raise awareness on that side? Any extreme comments that you're hearing at all, or
I think the most impactful things that construction leadership can be doing, like right now,
Mhm.
is setting up peer support networks.
Yep.
There's things that are already in place within your organization. Like you probably have an EAP, but get in there and figure out if that EAP is effective. Doing pulse surveys with your workforce to see how they're actually doing. We called it a post-project AAR, where instead of going in to do lessons learned on how we can do better, ask your people, the amount of time that we made you put in on this project, did that ever make you feel overwhelmed? Are you in burnout? There's small things that you can do that
Yep.
don't cost anything that are going to directly affect the performance, and then also the feeling that you have, the culture that you have, which is a culture of care. So
Hmm.
creating a culture of care is something that doesn't cost anything, and that can happen through your leadership modeling vulnerability. So, talking about times where you've struggled, in your daily meetings, like we have safety first in a lot of our daily meetings, right, where we talk about
Yeah.
safety. Take one of those meetings a week and talk about, mental wellness, or talk about something personal, and model that vulnerability for your teams so that they feel like it's safe for them to talk about it when they're struggling. And then if you have benefits available, encourage people to actually use the benefits. Don't
Make sure
say,
they know about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, don't just have them and then expect people to get to them. One of the biggest gaps that we're seeing right now is that there are programs that are available and no one's using them because
Yep.
people don't know. And then the other major thing that I would say is that anything that you're going to deliver to your people, whether that's safety protocols or, talking about your benefits, make sure that you're delivering them in everyone's native language that you have working for you. So
Yep.
if you have Spanish speakers and the only way that they can access your benefits is through an English onboarding process, they're not going to use it, and their families definitely aren't going to use it.
Yep.
So maybe
Agree.
those will help.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned peer support. That seemed to be the big topic this year going into 2025. A lot of construction companies are how to set that up, how to best utilize it. Okay, we have it, but do we really have it? Is it effective? Is that something your group can help with? Then?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know if we can put a link in the
Yeah, yeah.
the thing or whatever. I'll put a link to my link tree, which has I'm the chair of Construction Suicide Prevention Week, which you're familiar with.
Yep.
We have a lot of free resources available there. I'm doing a webinar with Josh Rizzo and Justin Asbell about peer support in
Okay.
September. So people can join that. That's free as well, which will give you a kind of a deep dive on how to set that up in your company. But then you can connect with me directly, and to anybody that's with KCA or really anybody that listens to this podcast,
Yeah.
my door is swinging wide open. I'm here to save lives and help people, and that includes helping companies. So, just reach out to me, and I will walk you through exactly what you need. We'll figure out where you're at and where you need to go, and then I can help lead you in that direction. Um, but yeah, with peer support, I think the biggest thing that you can do is basically you want to create a spider web to where your peer supporters have a peer support group, and then it sort of like, fans down like a family tree. So what's that? Oh, so the family tree is like you've got your executives and that group that are supporting each other just on personal stuff. It doesn't have to be work. You can talk about work, but just once a month for 1 hour, you have an intentional meeting where people can offload some of that stuff that they're going through, just because that we're all humans doing the human thing.
I hear you. Good stuff. Stuff here. So I think we have Amazon package here. So
It's all good.
yeah. So no, I'm glad the peer support, like I said, has been a big topic, and it's needed. It's very effective.
Yeah.
You mentioned also pre-interview there. You mentioned the retreats. That sounds awesome. Something very interesting. You want to touch on that maybe a little?
Yeah, of course. So, one of the things that I've experienced personally being in construction and traveling a lot was that disconnection from family. And Amy, my wife and co-founder of Project Built, a few years ago, right before we started looking at, suicide interventions and the mental health crisis in construction, we had experienced the loss of a second trimester pregnancy that really rocked us. And I used our EAP program to get some free sessions. But at the same time, I was traveling, and we weren't able to really do the grieving and healing that we needed to do. And so, I took a project that was close to home and worked there for 3 years, which really allowed us to dig in to, couples therapy
That's
and
good.
going through that grieving process together. And that was a catalyst for a lot of the work that we've been doing. And so as we formed Project Built and we wanted to do something to give back, we started thinking about how can we affect families and how can we share with other families what we've been through. And so, or not been through, but what we've benefited from. And so we got the idea. It was Amy's idea, as all good ideas are. They come from my
Yep.
wife. So, um, but we want to do a retreat. So, in June of 2026, we're going to invite 10 families that can be nominated or self-nominate that have experienced, trauma in some way. And we don't want to gatekeep and say what trauma looks like. Just
Yeah.
experience something, and they're at a point in their lives collectively where they're ready to move out of that. And so we're gonna create that space. We're bringing 10 families and walk them through the process of kind of healing together. Let them leave with a tribe of 10 other families that they can stay connected with over the next couple of years, and just give them practices, whether it's couples therapy, families therapy, individual stuff if they need to work on that, but really just as a community coming together and helping the family heal. And so we'll be there participating as a family for that first retreat, and then that's going to be something that we continue. So we need companies' participation, we need sponsorship. Obviously, we have to pay for it because we want to bring every family in free of charge, cover their PTO for that week so that they're not taking time off. And a lot of our construction families don't have PTO to use, so we got to raise a lot of money to make that happen. But it's something that we're committed to, and I believe we're going to make that happen this year.
That's awesome. That sounds really cool. I've heard of like, the ball game, take the family to the baseball game or whatever, get them together for this or that, whatever, but not a whole retreat. That sounds talk about some bonding, some life memories.
Yeah,
That's
we're going to
amazing.
be on I think it's called the Frying Pan River up by Aspen. And so you'll be able to fly fish in the morning and, take some
Nice.
time for yourself and then get together with the family and have a big communal dinner in the Aspens and like really, really, just have an intentional space that allows a family to really get together and then, co-regulate with other families that have been through a lot and heal together.
Nice. Well, that sounds awesome, and the peer support and everything you're doing sounds amazing and awesome. And like I said, I'm willing to help if you need anything. Let me know. So
We need all the help we can get. I tell
awesome.
people I'm out here building an army for the not so hostile takeover of construction. So I need everybody, and that's really who I'm looking for is
Yeah.
the people that are listening to this right now that want to get involved. Reach out. You can volunteer. You can become an ambassador. You can, get your company signed up to help us pilot some of these initiatives that we're doing. You can nominate a family. There's tons of ways to get involved. So really, the best way to do it is just schedule a call with me and we can talk about what you need and we'll make this happen. I really believe in what we're doing.
Awesome. And I believe that if each of us does our small little part, we can make a big difference. And
Yeah.
this is a way, if you don't know how you fit into the equation, how you fit into the industry, this is your way to do your small part, and you can help out and make that big impact.
I agree 100%. Amy likes to say that it's like a patchwork quilt. If we all just bring our patches together, then eventually we're going to sew it and it's going to actually change the industry. So I'm
Awesome.
100% on board with you, man. Thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate you.
You bet. And thank you for your time today. And let's do it again. Stay in touch and make Project Build awesome. So I can't wait to build this up.
Of course, buddy. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, man.